The first cup. The downtown cafe buzzed with the usual morning rush, phones pinged, cups clinked, and the hum of city life poured through the glass windows blurred by relentless rain. A low fog coiled around the buildings outside, pressing everything into shades of gray. The scent of freshly ground coffee mingled with the sharp wetness of rain-soaked pavement. Inside, it was warm, comfortable, safe for most. Then the door swung open with a sharp clang of its bell, and a gust of cold air rushed in like an accusation. Heads turned. A man stepped inside, drenched. His coat was thin, patched in places, his shoes leaving wet, muddy prints on the polished floor. His salt and pepper hair was plastered to his forehead, and the hollowness in his eyes told stories no one dared ask about. He moved quietly to the counter, almost timidly, squinting at the chalkboard menu. "Black coffee," he said, his voice hoarse. As the young barista tapped the register, the man reached into his coat. Then again. Then his jeans. Then he froze. I must have left my wallet at home," he stammered. "I'm sorry. If it's all right, I'll just sit till the rain." The barista cut him off sharply. "This isn't a shelter, Grandpa. If you're not buying, you're not staying." The words echoed, slicing through the clatter of the cafe. A few people snickered. One woman whispered to her friend, not quietly enough, another one of them, always looking for sympathy. The old man's shoulders curled inward as if trying to disappear. "I wasn't asking for a free drink," he whispered. "Just a dry seat." A laugh cracked through the silence. "Sure," a man jeered from the back. "Next he'll be asking for avocado toast." Scram. Then crack. A tray slammed onto the counter. Emma Callan, a waitress of nearly 5 years, her auburn hair tied back, eyes narrowed like a storm rolling in, stepped between them. "That's enough," she said. She reached into her pocket and slapped down a wrinkled $5 bill. "His coffee's covered. And he stays." The barista scoffed, embarrassed now that the room's attention had shifted. "Emma, it's not your job to—" "To what?" she snapped. "To treat someone like a human being?" The air turned brittle. Eyes flicked back and forth, but no one interrupted her now. "Kindness," Emma said loudly, "doesn't cost as much as dignity. But once you take someone's dignity away, you better be ready for what comes back." The old man looked at her like she had just torn open the sky. "Sir," she said, softening, "there's a seat by the window. I'll bring your coffee there." He nodded, silently, and shuffled to the corner. A tear traced through the grime on his cheek. Later, in the break room, the confrontation continued. Brian, the manager, slammed the office door behind her. "What the hell was that?" Emma stood her ground. "I paid. I didn't ask you for anything." He stepped closer. "You humiliated my staff. You disrupted customers." "No," she interrupted. "Your staff humiliated themselves." "I interrupted that. You want to be a hero? Fine. But not here. This is a business. Then maybe your business needs to remember what it's selling, because coffee without humanity is just hot water." The next day, whispers followed her through the cafe like smoke. Marcy, another waitress, sneered behind her back. "Must be nice, thinking you're the Mother Teresa of burnt espresso." Emma ignored it. She always had. Back at home, the apartment she shared with her teenage sister, Clara, was dim and damp. Clara had the flu and hadn't moved from the couch in hours. Emma reheated old porridge and handed it over without complaint. She checked her wallet. $3, a subway token, and a photo of their mother folded neatly in the back. That night, watching rain streak down the glass, Emma whispered aloud to no one, "I don't regret it." A week passed. On a rare slow morning, as Emma wiped down a corner table, the cafe door opened again. But this time, it wasn't a soaked coat or hunched shoulders. It was a man in a charcoal suit. Clean-cut. Composed. His eyes locked with hers. It was him, but not the version that had come in from the storm. He walked past the counter, sat at the same window seat, and waited. Emma, confused but composed, approached. "Can I help you?" "I only have one question," he said. "I'm serious." "Why did you help me?" She hesitated. "Because you looked cornered. And no one should be treated like that. Not for being down. Not ever." They spoke for over an hour. About books, music, pain, loss. He told her his name was Charles Arden. He mentioned that his wife had passed, that he hadn't spoken to someone honestly in months, that her kindness had been the first thing to make him feel seen in a long time. Then he left, only saying, "You may hear from me again." 3 days later, a thick envelope arrived at Emma's apartment. No return address. No note. Just an invitation. To the penthouse suite of the Halden Hotel, the most exclusive in the city. Clara gasped when she saw the name. Charles H. Arden. Emma's hand trembled as she held it. 3 days later, wearing her only decent blouse, she stepped through the lobby's revolving doors. Every chandelier sparkled like crystal starlight. Every guest looked like they'd been born into silk. But when she entered the lounge on the 21st floor, Charles stood alone, waiting, no entourage in sight. "I wanted to thank you," he said. "In person. And to tell you the truth." He told her everything. His wealth. His company. His travels under anonymity. His search not for employees or partners, but for people. Real people. "I needed to know if anyone still treated others with compassion when there's nothing to gain." Emma sat in stunned silence. "Was I a test?" she asked, her voice sharp. "No," he said softly. "You were the answer." She stood abruptly. "So what now? You offer me a job? A house? A tidy little reward for being decent?" "No," Charles replied, unwavering. "I offer you coffee. Again. As equals." Emma stared at him, conflicted. But in his eyes, there was no manipulation, only hope. "Eventually," she said, "I don't know what this is, but I do know who I am, and I won't trade that for anything." Charles smiled. "That's exactly why I found you." Weeks passed. Letters. Train tickets. Conversations over books and firelight. Emma saw the world through Charles's lens: villages, shelters, orphanages. Not from a distance, but eye level. She watched as he listened, really listened to people. He never flaunted wealth. He carried crates, built shelves, remembered names. One night, by a fire in a small Vermont town, he whispered, "I've had offers of love, but I want someone who understands why I love the things I do." Emma said quietly, "Maybe that's what we all need, to be understood." By spring, he handed her a file. Inside, the charter for a new foundation. The Emma Callan Opportunity Fund. "For the next waitress who gets laughed at," he said. "For the next act of kindness that should never go unnoticed." Tears stung her eyes. But instead of taking it, she closed the folder. "Thank you. But no," she said. "I want to build something myself. From scratch. I want others to believe in themselves, not because someone gave them money, but because someone finally saw them." Charles nodded. "Then I'll always be in your corner." They hugged and let each other go. Not out of distance, but respect. 6 months later, a new cafe opened on the same block. Its name, The First Cup. No price tags. Just a chalkboard that read, "Your first cup is on us. Your second? Pay it forward." On opening day, a homeless man stepped inside, soaked and shivering. A young barista opened his mouth to speak, but Emma, now owner, laid a hand on his shoulder. "It's all right," she said. Then to the man, "Window seat? Coffee's on us." He nodded, blinking back tears. Across the street, under a dark umbrella, stood Charles Arden. He didn't wave, didn't step inside. But Emma saw him and smiled. She turned back into the cafe where a line had formed, not for caffeine, but for warmth. She stood before them, hand on her heart. "Kindness," she said, "isn't something you earn. It's something you remember." And in that small place born from rain, ridicule, and one wrinkled bill, the world began to change, one cup at a time.